Hello, I'm Lesley Anne Knight and welcome to this Just Talking Musicals look at an iconic show that came up in the conversation with two of our recent rather wonderful guests, Hadley Fraser and David Bedella. We were talking about favourite shows of all time, and this particular one just happens to be celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2021. So I thought it's only right that we have a bit more of a look behind the scenes at how this iconic show came about and the performers who made it so special to celebrate its 50th birthday. Just talking musicals with you. Jesus Christ Superstar's arrival in the theatre was an unusual one in that although it was first conceived by director Tom O'Horgan as a theatre piece, composer Andrew Lloyd Webber and lyricist Tim Rice were unable to find a producer willing to take on this self-described rock opera about the last 7 days in the life of Jesus Christ. So they set about recording an album of the musical, which after being released in late 1970 and being banned by the BBC for being sacrilegious, sold over 3 million copies and became an international sensation, which you could say smoothed the waters to it being taken on by leading producer Robert Stigwood and opening on Broadway at the Mark Hellinger Theatre a year later on October the 12th, 1971. In the original Broadway cast lineup, Jeff Fenholt played Jesus, Yvonne Elliman played Mary Magdalene, and Ben Vereen Judas Iscariot. This musical was flamboyant and different, and despite mixed reviews from the press and opposition from various religious groups, the show, according to historian Stanley Green, became a media hype and a box office hit. The music was up to the minute in its rock opera style and sung through. The legendary score includes memorable songs like I Don't Know How to Love Him and Gethsemane and Superstar, which, with I Don't Know How to Love Him charting simultaneously in Billboard's Top 40 for Yvonne Elliman and pop singer Helen Reddy when it was first released. And then in 1973, Jesus Christ Superstar was made into a film, directed by Norman Jewison and starring Ted Neely, Yvonne Elliman and Carl Anderson, and all three found themselves nominated for prestigious Golden Globe Awards, and the film became the highest grossing musical film of the year in the United States and Canada. Amidst the show's ongoing popularity in the years since it first appeared, Ted Neely and Carl Anderson reprised their roles in a 20th anniversary national tour, running from December 1992 to April 1995, covering nearly 150 nationwide theatres, and in that cast, staying with it from start to finish, was a young performer by the name of David Bedella, who was playing the role of Caiaphas. And more recently on the other side of the Atlantic in the UK, and following its overwhelming sellout success at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre in 2016 and 2017, Jesus Christ Superstar found itself the recipient of two prestigious awards, the Olivier Award for Best Musical Revival and Best Musical in the Evening Standard Awards. And it just happened to be on my guest Hadley Fraser's list of favourite shows of all time when we met up online for a chat a short time ago.
And the third one is Jesus Christ Superstar, which I did at college. Do you know, actually, the recording, the video recording of that production has somehow, I don't know how, made it onto YouTube.
Brilliant.
I must have been 18-year-old, I suppose, playing Judas in the student union hall at Birmingham University. It's one of those things that you just go, I hope that never sees the light of day. What it did do was sort of imbue this love of that particular show, which I think is also something of a masterwork. And my friend Tom Deering was the orchestrator and conductor on the recent production at Regent's Park, which I think was one of the most sort of enjoyable evenings at the theatre I've had in the last few years. So those three, I think would be my favourite: City of Angels, Sweeney Todd, and Jesus Christ Superstar.
What a lineup!
Yeah, I suppose they're quite not run of them, but they're quite predictable, aren't they? I mean, I suppose I could have gone for something a bit more obscure, but the three of those, I think, would be the ones that, if you were to say pick three albums that you have to listen to that are musical theatre albums, which I don't listen to a great deal, actually, those would be the three.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Thank you. Next question. Favourite artist, musical theatre or musicals of all time today and yesterday?
Yeah, do you know, I didn't actually really think about this one all that much. I suppose I have a great soft spot for some of those people who I heard on those cast recordings of those shows that we were just talking about. Someone like Len Carrier, I think, whose career spanned a great deal and was the original Sweeney Todd. I'd love to have seen him live. I can't imagine how thrilling that would have been. Equally, Carl Anderson, who was the Judas on Norman Jewison's film of Jesus Christ Superstar. I think seeing Carl Anderson live, and I think I'm right in saying he and Ted Neely, who played Jesus, were still touring and still singing that show, you know, into their 70s. I'm sure Ted Neely was. I can't remember if Carl had passed away before then, but yeah, people like that. I suppose I'd love to have rewound the clock and been able to go and see those guys live. I think that would have been absolutely thrilling. The kind of 19-year-old me would have adored that.
You know, I did a little bit of prep work before this because I had watched a couple of your interviews in the past. One with Corey English, who you know I did producers with, and he's just one of the loves of my life. I think he's so incredible.
Yeah.
And I watched a bit of Valentine, and so today I thought before we start, I should watch another one and just sort of get the feel of it. Well, I made the drastic mistake of watching your interview with Hadley Fraser, who you know. Now, after watching that interview, I absolutely idolize, and but it absolutely scared the heck out of me because I thought he is so well spoken, so intelligent, so prolific, and accomplished, and has the voice of God, and just I mean, there's just no end to the things. And then towards the end of the interview, I kind of relaxed a little bit because I thought, wow, we have so much in common, so much down to our favorite shows and favorite roles, and the people that we admire. It was like listening to myself speak. And so I guess I've come full circle in thinking I'm okay to be here.
Oh, most definitely. And it's funny you should mention Hadley, because I was going to bring him up right now, and for anybody that hasn't seen the Hadley Fraser interview, when we talk about favorite shows, he says Jesus Christ Superstar with Ted Neely and Carl Anderson, how he would love to have seen it. And he likewise, he'll probably be watching this and thinking he was in it. And I find that so exciting, because what an amazing, I was going to start off by asking you before we start our real proper meetup questions about how exciting it must have been to have been a part of that production. Oh, how lovely. Cheers. I've got some water.
Myself a glass of wine. Have you? Okay. To you, and thank you for conducting this lovely interview.
Oh, thank you for coming today. Thank you.
So your question was about that production?
Totally. That it's an iconic. The people in it were part of an iconic production, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a 20th anniversary reassemblage of so many of the important people that brought it together, and I had to pinch myself at the time, and still do, especially when I hear in Hadley's interview him speaking about what would it have been like to have heard Carl Anderson sing that role live, and I actually started to weep. I got very teary because I sat there watching him thinking, I stood across from that man night after night. I actually, it's the longest tour I've ever done. I was with that show for 3 years on the road. And Teddy and Carl and we made it from beginning to the end, and it was astounding. I don't think there will ever be a singer like him again, Carl Anderson.
Yeah.
And Ted, the graciousness and the love that just poured from him. You know, he channeled our Savior, I believe, when he was doing that show. But really, it was a wonderful experience, and I share Hadley's feelings. I don't think anyone will do it justice the way that those two did. The company actually consisted of the two of them, Ted and Carl. Irene Cara, as you mentioned, was our Mary Magdalene. We had Dennis DeYoung, who's the lead singer from Styx.
Yes.
And lots of people have, you know, all of their big hits. And myself as the Caiaphas. We were the 5 principals. So it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
It must be exhausting to be on tour for 3 years. You've got to have some real stamina, haven't you?
Well, you got to be young, I think, which I don't know how they did it, because they were both of them turned 50 while we were on the road. And I think I had just turned 30.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's touring. I think is a younger person's game. I don't know. It's just too difficult once you get up in years. Difficult enough to get to the West End, let alone on tour. So.
Well, how about that, eh? Thank you so much for watching. Huge thanks to David Bedella and Hadley Fraser for sharing one of their favourite shows. And I shall of course remain forever envious of David Bedella being able to watch Carl Anderson and Ted Neely performing that incredible show every evening for 3 years. Happy 50th anniversary to Jesus Christ Superstar, and here's to the next 50. Oh yes, and don't forget to press subscribe. See you soon. Just talking musicals with you.